Hi there, Lauren.
And thank you so much for your patience and flexibility. It's
A
been
lot's
nuts.
come up. It's like one thing after another. Yeah,
It-
I'm glad we're doing this.
yes. How are
Now,
you?
now we get to, there we go. I was like, now we get to have tech issues. Yay. I'm doing it. I actually am going to campus next week
Oh,
to give a talk for the seniors. And I just found out it's in Alumni Hall and
um,
the ballroom there, which feels like way too big. I'm like, so we'll see. Hopefully
that's
it's
awesome. So it's like financial literacy kind of thing.
yeah. And I did it last year and it was a lot of fun and it was very lovely. Like everyone was taking notes and they were all just good little learners. But yeah, this year, last year was in the science center, so it was like, kind of more of a classroom setup, and this year it's in the alum ballroom. And I was like, okay, I guess it just feels
Yeah.
like a lot more removed.
It's well, they probably expect a big turnout then.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like with career events, it's really hit or miss. It's like, is there food? That's really probably the main thing that gets people there. So,
Yeah, I was gonna ask him like, are they gonna have foods in the ballroom?
yeah, I know, I know. But how have
Mm.
you been? You were on vacation, right? I saw your fun.
Yeah, yeah, I'm showing off my hair. That's the funny thing. Um, um,
Love it.
Yeah, we got back from vacation. The boys are back in preschool, and everyone is doing their thing. And I'm in the middle of the spoke.
Yes. Well, hopefully you can
Trying to
get back
get it
into a
done.
routine that feels good.
Yes, yes.
So,
Um,
do you email this out? Like, is this all going to be, or does I forget what your person's name is. Does she like
you
cut
know,
off the first part?
yes, we are recording, but we aren't live yet.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Well, no one's
yeah.
gonna come to the live, right? Because we changed the time, unless they happen to be on your site, I
Who
guess.
knows? I found that a lot of people watch it afterwards. But they still watch it, which is great. But I'm like still watching it. But
So
yeah,
they'll see
so
this part. Is that what you're saying? They'll see all of this because this is the recording. Okay,
yeah,
hello everyone.
yes, yes. Well, no,
Okay.
they won't see this part because we
Oh,
haven't
okay.
gone yet. Yeah, so I'll let you know when we go live.
Yeah.
Um, so what we have like is recording, so Dana will cut off this part and then she'll send you a link to it. So in case you want to put it places.
Yes, I would love that. And do you email it out to your list serve as well?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay. Check this out. Or we give them a link to look on LinkedIn.
Okay, yeah, I should get on your list there because I mean I know you have it on LinkedIn, but I'm not on your email list. So that would be
Yeah.
great to come out.
Yeah. All
Great.
right. Are you ready to go live?
And I'm wondering, can you read the text on the back? Does it matter? Yeah, just
That
like,
on your whiteboard?
yeah, it's just like dates. I don't think it's, uh,
Yeah, I saw something about Wellesley Library. I don't know if you care.
I don't really, I mean, if anything, it's more accurate that like this is where I work. It's,
This is life.
yeah, but I like your background. That's very,
Yeah, she does want a new one every week. Okay, we are about to go live.
okay.
Uh, let's see. All right, so we are live. Hey,
Excellent.
hey, everyone. We're back after a couple weeks off. I've been on vacation. We've been building up. We have some big plans coming out in 2 weeks. But we're back with Wednesday Tyche Talk, usually Tuesday Tyche Talk. It's Wednesday Tyche Talk today. And just for people who are new to Tyche Talks, it's a weekly, generally, a weekly live stream, and it's filmed, it's recorded. So if you don't see it live, you can see it later. And we talk about all different kinds of subjects, usually things that are directly related to career. But today we have amazing guests, and we're going to be talking about financial literacy and finances. And I had all kinds of questions. So, join me in welcoming Ariel, sorry.
That's
No,
okay. Karen. Yeah.
yeah.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be
Hi.
here.
Yay. And just give me a second to pull up my notes here. Okay, here we go. There we go. Um, all right. I had it. Ariel. I'm
There
saying
you
it
go.
right.
3 letters.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
I
Most people
was,
get it wrong.
yeah, I was like, I should get, I like, when I was talking to you earlier, I got it right. And all of a sudden, it just like, but anyway, she is a certified financial education instructor and founder of Finances for Feminists. After leaving a corporate job as a software executive, Ariel set out to demystify the world of personal finance by offering one-on-one financial coaching. Her business is focused on helping women and couples attain financial wellness through education and personalized support. As a money coach, she provides individualized lessons in finance fundamentals, including budgeting, retirement, I have questions about that, investments, and more, to help her clients gain clarity and take control of their financial future. Welcome, Ariel.
Thank
Ariel.
you. Ariel, like the 3 letters, Ariel. Yeah, you can call me Ari.
I have no idea. I think it's just like the running around is getting to me.
Yeah, Little Mermaid really messed with my name. But yes, hello. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm here to talk about my business, Finances for Feminists, and a little bit more about how financial wellness can just be a part of everyone's lives in a positive, good way so that you feel more calm and confident and clear about your money all day.
Yes. I don't I told you this when we talked earlier, but when I first started coaching, I was going to be a personal finance coach instead of a career coach.
That. Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And I switched. Never looked back, but I am so glad there are financial coaches or personal finance coaches because it's much needed. And it's one of those things, especially in America, people are about talking about. Um, So let's get into it. So I have a couple of questions that were top of my mind. So we'll start with those and we'll see where that conversation takes us. So my first question is outside of maximizing your 401k if one's available, what are your favorite financial wellness tips?
Yeah, so I know we're talking, with the 401k about a workplace sponsored retirement account. So I did just want to acknowledge that if you don't have a 401k, it could be called something else, like 403b is for nonprofits, TSP, 457b. These are just different names for the same thing, which are workplace sponsored retirement accounts. If you don't have a workplace sponsored account, let's say you're a contractor or maybe you're a self-employed person like me, there are other options like an individual retirement account, also an IRA or an IRA. But basically, these are government-sponsored, workplace-sponsored retirement accounts where there's a tax incentive to put your money. So the government says, wow, it's really expensive to retire these days. We want to incentivize you to save. And as a result, we'll make some tax incentives and give you a little bit of a carrot there. And the stick or the I guess maybe a leash would be a better analogy. If the carrot is the tax incentives, the leash would be you can only access those funds for retirement. Otherwise, you pay a really heavy penalty. I would just want to acknowledge that if you're like, oh, I don't have a 401k, you might have something else so that, now folks know to like look out for the different types of things that those may be called. But in terms of like general financial wellness, general holistic tips, the first thing I like to recommend to folks is to track your spending for 1 month. So that might feel like a lot to some people. To other people, they might be like, yeah, that's easy. I don't spend much money. But the idea behind this is that, with credit cards and with one-click shopping, we're really more disconnected from our spending than ever before. I don't remember what I ate yesterday, let alone what I spent money on. So by taking time to really track your spending, making, either in a pen and paper, like a journal, or online, the date, the amount, the item, like what it was that you bought, and then how you're feeling, positive, negative, or neutral about these purchases, that can really go a long way in terms of like understanding where you are, so that you can then, decide where you want to go. So often people come to me and they say, oh, like, Ariel, I need to eat out less or drink less lattes. And we don't really know what we need to do until we have the data. So you don't need any fancy tools for that. Just like a notebook, a journal, a Google sheet, really low tech, low bar, kind of my motto. And, just being curious and not being judgmental. We'll get a sense of like, it'll really help you save money, because you might realize, oh, I have that Hulu streaming happening that I didn't remember, or this charge, I'm not even sure like what this recurring fee is, and I should look into that. And you'll just spend more money on things that you care about. So that would be one tip, just tracking your spending. I don't know if that resonates with you, or if you feel pretty connected with your spending these days, Lauren.
Well, I actually have a follow-up question that goes into what you're saying, because I know, like, with when I did Weight Watchers unsuccessfully, but anyway, for somebody else, it was a tracking, but it was like you wrote down or you tracked everything that you spend. And I know other financial things they tell you do the same thing, like you buy a pack of gum and you write it down. So like you mentioned, like the Hulu streaming, how do you mesh the day-to-day spending? Like you just go to Starbucks and you'll remember to write that down because you're personally doing it, as opposed to reoccurring charges. Like what advice do you give people to mesh those two? Because that's real life. Because it's like, okay, well, I'll remember what I'm doing personally, but then there's that automatic charge. I forget.
Well, the difference between tracking your eating and tracking your spending is that we have credit cards, and most of us use them, or Venmo, or some, some sort of electronic. I mean, some people do still use cash, but it's not the norm as much, I don't think. At least that's been my experience with the folks that I work with. So that's like a record, right? So that includes both the streaming stuff and when you go to Starbucks and you get lunch or drinks or whatever. So if you're looking at your spending, you can just go into your credit cards or your debit cards or your Venmo account, and there's a record there. And if you are someone that predominantly uses cash, then that is going to be a little more labor intensive. I actually worked with someone in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and she was like, we don't use credit cards. And I was like, okay, well, so yeah, you're going to have to like carry around a journal and write everything down. And she was a Wellesley alum, very cool woman. But yeah, I think, it's a little bit easier than tracking your food, because like there is a record for most of us. If you're not spending with cash, like just credit cards, all those one-off purchases will be tracked in addition to your subscription purchases.
Well, because one of the things I have now, because I randomly like to show my age because I find it funny. I'm like, I recently gotten on the TikTok.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so the envelope the method or cash method is become big. It's starting to make the rounds around TikTok. And so that it's kind of like, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to pay your light bill. A lot of people do because they don't have access to the banking system. But for a lot of people, it's kind of like, oh, well, if I pay cash or if I have an allowance, a cash allowance, I don't know. I'm probably making an issue. I guess I'm asking what are your thoughts about that?
Well, first off, I'm impressed you're on TikTok, because I'm not.
I held out for so long.
It's admirable. Good for you. You're an inspiration. I am choosing to opt out right now, but I know a lot of people get personal finance tips from there. I think that's great. The more accessible personal finance can be, the better. And yeah,
my business isn't on it. I'm just on it.
Oh, you're on it. Okay.
Yeah. Like rush week.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm so distracted by the TikTok concept that I'm like, okay, yeah, an envelope. Yeah, so that is another method, the cash envelope, that's another method too. If you're doing that, you're probably already way more aware of your spending than the folks that I'm talking to who are using, credit cards, one-click shopping, all that stuff. So that's like a step up, I suppose, because you're already sort of allocating that out. But yeah, you can still write down your purchases. Like it's not a barrier to that. If anything, I think you'd already be like a step up because you would be really aware of your spending more so than people that have that sort of recurring subscription fees, or like, you click a button and, there you go, your Starbucks app has been, deducted from. But yeah, I think personal, like just being in touch with your spending in general, and it could look differently for different people. So that would really be my first tip. And then my second tip, which is to build your emergency fund, that is basically the like thing I tell folks to do first. Because like we've all been living through this pandemic, it's not really over. Fortunately, it's starting to surge again. But that really showed us that like the only constant is change. And even when we think we know circumstances, like who knows what the world is going to dictate. So having a solid emergency fund really allows you to focus on the situation itself rather than the financial stress of an emergency. And the way that I recommend doing that is to build up like 3 to 6 months or more of essential expenses. So that's things like your rent, your mortgage, your groceries, any sort of non-negotiable, your utility bill. This isn't things like eating out, streaming services, your time subscription. Like if you had a loss of income, you would really sort of cut back and just do the bare bones. So 3 to 6 months of those kinds of things, that kind of essential expenses can be useful to build up. And then it's also a personal thing to consider, right? Like, do you have a partner or a spouse that you can rely on if you have a loss of income? Do you have dependents? How stable is your job? Like, are you a tenured professor or are you at a startup company? So there are personal factors as well, but having that cushion can really be such a game changer. Just the like mental relief of knowing that if something bad were to happen, that you would have a little bit of a cushion can really make a huge difference.
So one of the because I remember when I was single, it's a little easier now because I do have a partner, a husband that also works, so it's a little easier. But I remember when I was single and I didn't have any independence, that the whole idea of an emergency fund, like 3 to 6 months, even if it's just essential, is just kind of overwhelming. How do you talk
Yeah.
people for that?
No, you're right. It can be a very large number. So I would say start small, start where you're at. So build up to 1 month of essential expenses or $1,000, whichever one is greater, and just do recurring transfers. And if you're already in a situation where you're really like struggling to save, like I don't want you to go into credit card debt to build up your emergency fund. That's not the goal here, but if you're not in a position where you can start building this up, like make it a goal for the future. I know some folks are in school and it's like they're not really having much of an income coming in, or it's hard to save. So make that be like, okay, when I graduate or when I get this job, this is like my number one priority. Because it's everyone's circumstances are different. For some people, they might be sitting on that cash and be like, ooh, I'm going to like separate this out and put it in a high yield savings account so that it's liquid in case I need it for an emergency, but I won't be tempted to like spend it on random things. So that is definitely like, again, like everything, it's like very situational, but a good rule of thumb, 3 to 6 months, even just like having a number to work towards can be helpful, because it can feel really like amorphous, like I need to save some amount, like what is enough. So like, that can be a helpful starting point.
And it's kind of the second starting point to your first tip, because you won't know the number you need to save unless you've been tracking your spending.
There you go. Exactly. And then my third tip, just to like wrap it up for your first question, would be to schedule a regular money date. So I find that a lot of people want like a finale and an end point. They want to be like, and now I'm done with money, right? But it's kind of like going to the gym. You can't just like work out once and be like, okay, I'm done. Like, that was great. Good working out. Managing your money is something that we have to do our whole lives. We live in a capitalist society. This is part of our lives. We're not going to get rid of it. So it's important to sort of set yourself up for success by acknowledging, like shifting that mindset of like, this is going to be something I'm going to be doing regularly. And to do that, I recommend scheduling like a money date. So it can be like a money date with yourself. It can be a money date with your partner, but, put it on the calendar, treat it like you would any other appointment, like show up, and look at your situation, right? That could look at a few different things. That could be, maybe this is an opportunity for you to record your spending. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to review your goals. Like, how are you doing toward, maybe you're saving towards your emergency fund. How is that looking? Have you accomplished anything recently that you're really proud of? And, you want to take time to acknowledge that. But this can be really useful, not only as an individual, but also in partnerships, because I work with a lot of couples and individuals, and that can be really, I think a lot of folks may be aware that like finances can be a really big break in relationships. So like, you're doing your marriage a favor too, or your partner a favor too, by talking about these things and being open and communicative with each other. And the more you do it, the easier it'll get. So even something as simple as like, oh, like the holidays are coming up. Are we prepared for that? Do we have savings for plane tickets or travel to family or gifts? Just things like that, like being proactive. Like life is, every month doesn't look the same for anybody, which is also funny. I'll work with people and they'll be like, oh, this was a weird month. Like this month my kids were in town, or this month I went on a trip. I'm like, every month is weird, right? You just have to acknowledge that. But by doing a money date, you can really get ahead of that. So you're not like, you don't hit taxes and you're freaking out because, you didn't sit down and look at it, or you don't hit December and suddenly you have this big travel plane ticket. So it can help you be proactive. It can help you feel like confident and in control.
I'm going to skip the second question I was going to ask you, because I like shifting stuff. So what's an unpopular opinion that you have about financial wellness?
Yeah, I would say my unpopular opinion is that I don't recommend specific tooling. I think technology can be great, but I don't think it should be the first step. The step before technology to me is like step 0, which is the mindful spending piece that I mentioned at the beginning, like just getting awareness of your spending, like getting a sense of your tracking your day-to-day expenses and knowing where your money is going. And it's also, I think tooling can sometimes be a barrier for people. Like they're like, oh, like, so I really like using analogies, but it's like if you were someone who was interested in running and you get these like really fancy shoes, and then you sign up for a 5K and you're like covered in blisters, and you're like, well, I have the fancy shoes, like, well, I guess I just can't run, right? Well, okay, maybe did you try walking first? Like, did you get out the door, right? Like, there's this couch to 5K programs, right? So it's like, sometimes people think the tooling is like, oh, if I buy this, it will do the work for me, but you still have to do the work. You still have to show up, understand what's happening with your money, understanding your spending habits and behaviors. Like the tooling will give you data, but it's not going to like help you process it mentally. So for me, when I work with folks, I make them do all the like manual, like step-by-step piece first. And then at the end, if they say, yeah, this was really useful, and moving forward, we want to like figure out a tool that works, I'm like, yes, go for it. But I don't think that's like the first step. Not to mention they cost money, most of them. So like there's a subscription fee. So I'm like, unless you know it's going to work for you, I'm hesitant to be like, yeah, like go charge another monthly fee that may or may not work about tracking your spending. So yeah, I think that can be a little bit of an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many apps I've gone through.
People
And then
really
you forget. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's
Yeah.
like, and then you forget to track or whatever for a couple of days, and you're like, do I just do clean slate, or do I stop using it? Well, maybe this other app will work better.
Well, and you can really over engineer it. So like, if you're like, I'm going to have a $50 budget for the movies or something, but then maybe you don't go to the movies, maybe you go to like an ice skating rink, I don't know. And then it's like, well, like, do I move that money over, or like, does it carry over? It's just, there's too many I think it can be very over-engineered, which again, some people really like and resonate with, and like, yes, like you do you, but I don't think it should be the blanket default first solution for everybody, because it can turn a lot of people off. They can feel like, oh, I don't like this tooling is like all or nothing, and so I'm going to do nothing. And I'm like, don't worry about the tool.
Well, nothing is so much easier. It's not
What's so much easier?
Nothing.
Oh.
Doing nothing.
Well, here's the thing about that. Like, nothing is still something. It's like you're constantly engaging with money, whether you want to or not, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Like, we spend money on rent, we spend money on food. Like, even if you're not going out to movies or dinner, like you're still spending money. So by not doing anything, we're still spending money. It's just mindlessly or like, more removed. And I would guarantee that like folks that have that disconnect, there is like some like anxiety is kind of like a storm cloud, like hanging out in the corner of your mind, like, ooh, I should be thinking about this, right? It's not just like pure unawareness, because we see our bank accounts and we know, when we've hit limits, hopefully. And if you don't know, you learn that lesson the hard way. So again, not doing stuff is still something, I guess.
Yeah. Do you have, and you weren't prepared or given this question beforehand, do you have a favorite movie or TV show about money or involving money?
A movie or a TV show? Ooh, I usually get asked like podcasts or books. I mean, this will just tell you, like, so I prefer to like get my money tips through auditory learning, so like podcasts or reading. And I prefer to like watch fun nonsense. So like like I'm sure if I really thought about that, like money is at the heart of everything. Like Schitt's Creek, there's a lot of like money stuff.
Oh, yeah, I love.
I don't know that like I've ever watched it through the lens of like, what financial lessons can you learn? I mean, I do think the takeaway there is really good, that like, it's about the relationships that we have that make life meaningful, and not about like the fancy portraits or,
Yeah.
but
That started for money. That's a good choice. And for those of you who haven't watched Schitt's Creek, give it like 3 episodes.
oh, totally. Yeah. They're very unlikable to start, and then they become very likable. It's quite a transformation. I think that's impressive that writers can like make you change your mind about people, actors.
Yeah. It's a journey.
How about you? Do you have a favorite movie or show about money?
I asked you the question and then okay. The reason why I'm like, oh, what's one I've already watched that I really like? The show that I want to watch is Succession, or Billions.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Billions, I should say.
I haven't watched that, but I know it's very like.
Yeah, I haven't watched either, but they're on my list. I'm a streamer. But those are the two that are on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
that's what I would say.
yeah, no, that I have not watched that, but I think that would be a great show to watch. I'm currently watching Only Murders in the Building, which doesn't really.
Oh my gosh, me too.
I love that show so much. The only takeaway I had is like, you can't see the rest of my house, but it is wallpaper and like nobody's business. And I took many like interior design tips from that show, because like, I don't know, the interiors of their apartments are like wallpapered, just beautiful designs. And I'm like, the money lesson here is that is how I will save my like home funds, is to make a beautiful interior with wallpaper. It's like,
well, the first season deals a lot with money. Oh
yeah, that was so long ago. Like, what happened in the first season? Yeah.
Yeah, like not having it and the stress it can cause and how it affects your life. And yeah, so yeah, there's, like you said, money is all around us, even in murders. Only Murders in the Building, which I just started, but I'm waiting for season 3 and on episode 5 or 6 on season 3. So now I'm gonna wait for it to end. But yes, I really got into it because of my son. It's rated M for mature audiences, but I decided he's mature for a 2-year-old because he finds the theme song really calming.
Yes, it is. It is very calming.
Yeah. So then he just falls asleep. So.
Oh, yeah. It's a good show. Let me like I have a few books here that are like actually about money. So this is one I recommend, Finance for the People by Paco de Leon. And I like this because
Oh,
he talks about like the just like the social aspects of money and the like community aspects of money and like the sort of bigger emotional pieces around money. And I think that's really useful and like not often talked about. And like part of my business, Finances for Feminists, I talk about like the emotional analytical side of money, and like both, you need both halves to be like financially whole. So this is a great book. And then I have my girl, Tiffany Aliche. I don't know if you know her. She also
yeah.
has a podcast, Brown Ambition. I like her. She just does like a bunch of no nonsense stuff. Like I'm talking to someone about life insurance, and she's like, unless you're Beyonce, you don't need whole life insurance. And I'm like, great, this is helpful. Like most of us are not Beyonce. So if people want like actual money books, like I have others, but those two, this one especially, I think is pretty different, and I like her approach. And then for podcasts, So Money with Farnoosh Torabi is really good also. And then Brown Ambition, which is Tiffany Aliche and her co-host as well. So those are like, actually about money, if people want to, people are interested in that.
I have a person I recommend, Denise Duffield Thomas. She's a money mindset coach.
Oh,
Um, and so one of the things she talks about is like identifying what money means to you and like what are the things that emotions it brings up, because a lot of times people spend that out of emotions. So yeah, Denise Duffield Thomas, I've been following her for years.
great.
Singing a totally fangirl or like and embarrass myself if I ever meet her in person. But
Ah.
so tell people where to find you.
Well, I have a free webinar tomorrow, which
Yeah.
I'm guessing since most people are looking at this recording, they may not see, but hopefully, if they do see it, they'll check it out. It's all about making your money work for you. It's about investing, just to get your fall started off on the right financial footing. So that's an hour long. It's 7 to 8 p.m. Thursday, September 21st. But you can go to my website. It's financesforfeminists.com, all letters. So financesforfeminists.com, both plural. And on my homepage, I have an events page, so you can see everything that's coming up. Everything on there is free. You can also sign up for my email list. I send out weekly newsletters. I also have a fun freebie on my website. So you can just learn all about financial wellness and have 4 steps to financial confidence. I'm also on Instagram, Finances for Feminists, and I am not on TikTok, but maybe.
I'm a consumer of TikTok.
Yeah, I'm an elder millennial, so I'm gonna pass on TikTok for now. But yeah, I'm really honored that you invited me on to talk money with you today, and hopefully your audience has a few concrete takeaways and they're feeling a little more curious about their money and a little less judgmental, because we could always use more of that.
Yeah, money is one of my favorite topics. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I also want to mention that Ariel is a Wellesley alum. I can't believe I forgot to mention that at the beginning. It's
Yeah, class of 2010.
yeah. What color is 20? What?
Purple, actually.
Purple,
Yeah,
yellow.
I
Going
have
to
a
class.
oh, well, that's fancy. I have a purple Finances for Feminists.
Oh, nice.
I know, right? I have all the different class colors. So whenever I work with Wellesley alums, I always send them their class colors. And they get a kick out of it. I'm like, oh, purple's for me. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Fun tidbit. If you're a Wellesley alum and you want to work together. Oh, I should add, I have a signature program called Finance Fundamentals. It opens October 2023. So if you want to be on the wait list, check out my contact page. 9 different modules, 3 months long. Very, very exciting stuff. So yeah, feel free to check that out too.
Yes. Finances for feminists.com.
Yes, you got it. Nice alliteration. Good tongue
Yes.
twister.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make sure that people understand that, like you said, both things are plural, all words.
Yes, 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 yes.
Again, thank you so much for joining us. And for people, next week, I'll be talking about annual renewal, my new year, which I do my birthday as my new year. I don't really care about January. And that's my birthday is October 5th. So that's the first of my year. So I'll be talking about that and how I use that to restart and renew and reset my goals. So that'll be next week. Tuesday Tyche Talk. And I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Lauren.